Welcome to part 1 of Senegambia, chapter 14 of our upcoming book, 4,000 Years of African American History. This historic journey through time is a project brought to you by Black Demographics at blackdemographics.com, a book which covers the unique origins of African Americans from the year 2000 BC in Western Africa through the transatlantic slave trade and leading up to the year 2000 AD in the United States of America. What about Senegambia? An estimated 15 to 20% of all African captives who landed in North America as slaves originated from the West African coastal area, commonly known as Senegambia by European sailors and merchants. Located in the present-day nations of Senegal and the Gambia, the region was home to a range of backgrounds belonging to West Atlantic-speaking ethnic groups of Fulani, Wolof, and Serer, of which thousands ended up in the transatlantic slave trade to the Americas. It was also home to migrating groups of Mandi-speaking people from Mali, like the Mandingo and eventually the Bambara, who made up a significant number of those who were also loaded on the slave ships from this region. Just south of Senegambia were the many rivers of present-day Guinea-Bissau, and to the north of Senegambia, across the Senegal River, were the Arab and Berber kingdoms at the edge of the Great Sahara Desert. Senegambia's advantageous position and historical trade connections with the ancient Ghana Empire, the Old Kingdom of Takra, and the even more formidable Mali Empire would eventually render it an ideal target for European merchants. Background from previous chapters. Reflecting upon earlier chapters of this book, we are reminded of the significant influence that the older West African empires and kingdoms had on the development of Senegambia. 1,500 years before the first slave ship landed on the North American coast, the Senegal River Valley, located in northeastern Senegambia, was a fertile region characterized by small urban communities. These communities engaged in grain cultivation using iron tools crafted by local blacksmiths. Archaeologists have uncovered over 60,000 iron-working furnaces in the Senegal River Valley, with origins tracing back to the 1st century AD. This region's urban development followed a similar but more scaled down and later occurring growth than that of the nearby Niger River Valley we uncovered in previous chapters. For example, in Chapter 2, we explored the Kingdom of Mima, established in 400 BC. Following that, in Chapter 3, the city of Geni-Geno, which was founded in 250 BC. And the evolution of the Mandi culture we covered in depth in Chapter 4, which played a significant role in shaping these regions. Around 800 AD, a kingdom known as Takra emerged over a 100-mile expanse of the Senegal River Valley. Takra grew into a competitive player in trade, challenging its more formidable neighbor, the Ghana Empire, covered in Chapter 6, which bordered Senegambia to the east. The Ghana Empire, known to its people as Wagadu, thrived from its beginning in 300 AD to 1235 AD. It was a commercial hub, significantly influencing the development and expansion of the Kingdom of Takra. Ghana traded vast quantities of gold for the much sought-after mineral of salt, brought by the Berber and Arab merchants from the salt mines they controlled in the Sahara Desert. Ghana imposed taxes on this salt before redistributing it across West Africa, where it was in high demand and in short supply, thus allowing for a profitable markup. The official currency of Ghana was gold dust, with the king retaining all gold nuggets over a certain size in his treasury as a means to control inflation. Arab and Berber merchants who lived on the edges of the Sahara Desert were skilled in transporting goods in large camel caravans through the treacherous terrain of the desert. They controlled kingdoms just north of Senegambia and served as West Africa's trade links with the Mediterranean, European, and Middle Eastern worlds. In his distinguished writings from the year 1068 AD, renowned historian al-Bakri shed light on the invaluable aspects of the Ghana Empire. As described in more detail in Chapter 6, he depicted the capital, named Kumbi-Sela, as a city consisting of two interconnected hubs, one of which housed the king's town with its domed buildings, such as the pavilion where the king convened with government officials. This town, like most of the empire, followed traditional Mandi faith and customs as detailed in Chapter 4. The king himself was an embodiment of magnificent wealth, wearing gold necklaces, bracelets, and a crown described as a lofty cap embellished with gold and encased in fine cotton. Behind him, 10 stewards carried gold-decorated shields and swords, while on his right stood the princes of vassal kings dressed in lavish clothing, sporting gold-plated hair. The second hub of the capital was characterized primarily as Muslim, featuring 12 mosques, fully staffed with imams, jurists, and scholars, all who lived within the community. Yet Ghana was not alone in its endeavors in the lucrative gold for salt trade. Takra of Senegambia also had access to gold fields, as well as the unique distinction of being the first West African kingdom to fully adopt Islam in the year 1030 AD. Its full conversion to Islam may have given it special consideration among Arab and Berber merchants, being that Muslims shared a certain respect and code when it came to conducting commerce. This conversion was not met without resistance, as some of the West Atlantic groups, namely the Jolof, Fulani, and Sira, left Takra and began migrating throughout Senegambia. There, they engaged in state building, clearing the lush forests of the region for farming and iron smelting, which required plenty of wood for its high-temperature furnaces. Tragically, in the early 1200s, both Ghana and Takra would ultimately fall victim to the ruthless aggression of the Susu blacksmith king Sumangaro, discussed in Chapter 9. According to griot oral traditions, Sumangaro embarked on a bloodthirsty crusade, beheading 9 kings in his pursuit of power and prestige. Order was only restored to the region when Mandingo king Sandiata Keita arrived and vanquished Sumangaro in the Battle of Karina in the year 1235 AD. Indeed, the defeat of Sumangaro marked a turning point in West African history, leading to the reunification of Ghana's former states and merging them with the kingdoms of Senegambia under the single umbrella of the new Mali Empire. Sundiata Keita, the Mandingo, was declared Emperor of Mali. This momentous event was codified in the Mandan Charter, a new constitution that helped to shape the destiny of the region for centuries to come. As discussed in Chapter 11, the history of Senegambia during the Mali Empire was a period of cultural exchange and commercial enterprise. During this period, the entire region adopted Mandi-influenced social and political systems from Mali, thanks in large part to the sophisticated trade networks maintained by the Mandi merchants. These traders linked the interior of the Mali Empire to the Atlantic coast of Senegambia, granting the region direct access to the hub of Mali's continental trade in the cities of Timbuktu, Jenny, Gao, and beyond to present-day Nigeria, Ghana, Egypt, the Mediterranean, and the Middle East. Gold, salt, ivory, cola nuts, iron, indigo, cotton goods, copper, weapons, books, jewels, grain, rice, fish, and vegetables flowed through the secure routes throughout West Africa. As famous traveler Ibn Battuta would observe in the year 1352 AD, there is complete security in their country. Neither traveler nor inhabitant in it has anything to fear from robbers of men or violence. It was during this century that the Mali Emperor Mansa Musa embarked on his famous pilgrimage to Mecca in the year 1324 AD. During the travels of his 20,000 to 80,000 man caravan, he spent so much gold he deflated its value in Egypt for more than a decade. News of this event unsurprisingly made its way to Europe, as evidenced by the historic Spanish Catalan Atlas in the year 1375 AD, with a drawing of Mansa Musa holding a large gold nugget. But it would still be well over 100 years before Western Europe would land on the West African coast.